You're locked on to the SABC News channel. Thank you for joining us this Saturday afternoon. Well, more than 1 billion Hindus across the globe mark Deepavali, or the holy festival of light, this weekend. This festival represents the symbolic victory of light over dark, knowledge over ignorance and good over evil. To discuss the social significance of the day and what it means to South Africans is social anthropologist and social cohesion expert Dr Rajendran Govender. He joins us now from our Durban studios. Good afternoon, Doctor, and thank you so much for your time on the SABC News Desk.
Good afternoon, Keshni, and good afternoon to the viewers.
Doctor, let's start with you telling us about the significance of this age-old festival in a multicultural society like ours, and how do the majority of South Africans actually relate to the day?
Right, basically, as you rightfully mentioned, Deepavali is celebrating good over evil, knowledge over ignorance, and light over darkness. So a typical Hindu will utilize all these concepts to ensure that being a good Hindu, you need to partake and participate in certain activities during Deepavali to ensure the whole religious and spiritual significance. Now we need to look beyond the glamour and the glitz of celebrating Diwali, beyond the fireworks, etc., because Deepa means lamp and Vali means row. So basically it is a row of lamps that people use at their homes and so on to introduce light into their lives. Now, as typical South Africans, we all partake in activities on a daily basis, and sometimes we may be unintentionally doing certain things that may make somebody unhappy. So Deepavali is an opportunity for us to forgive, to make sure that we embrace each other in this diverse society. And why it's important and moving beyond the Hindu community is that we need to showcase this cultural trait with the rest of the South Africans, so that living in a multicultural society, there's a greater understanding of what Deepavali is all about. There's such a hue and cry about firecrackers, etc. So if people understand the religious and spiritual significance, they'll be able to understand the Hindus much more better. And throughout the world, Deepavali is celebrated in this multicultural environment. I've just returned from Australia, where over 20,000 people converged last week in one of the cities there, and Melbourne. They celebrated all together. All races, all cultural groups celebrated together. Instead of we celebrating these festivals in isolation, in compartments, we need to break those silos and embrace each other and showcase. Now, one of the very, very important aspects of Deepavali is where people in homes, the mothers and the daughters, they bake sweetmeats and savories, etc. And this is normally parceled and distributed to the neighbors and to other families. So we need to go beyond that in South Africa and go to our other race groups, other cultural groups, and give them these parcels so that we can indicate to them that we want to embrace you as a fellow South African, but of another cultural element. So that is why it is very important in South Africa to move beyond celebrating Deepavali as a religious activity and look at it more as a socio-cultural activity.
Doctor, just on the note of fireworks, on the point of fireworks, they have indeed become synonymous, if you want to call it that, with the cultural celebration of Deepavali during this part of the year. And it is, like you're saying, it's become largely very controversial, rather, over recent years. I know you're not a religious expert, but from your knowledge, is there any evidence in the scriptures that Deepavali must be celebrated with the use of fireworks? Or can we still go ahead and celebrate this auspicious day while evolving and showing respect for the environment and our fellow human beings? Because recognizing the divinity in others and in animals even is one of the fundamentals of our religion.
Yes, there is no spiritual significance or scriptural evidence that fireworks was in the scriptures. Fireworks is a recent invention, right? That is more of a commercial value rather than any spiritual value. and in most parts of India, including New Delhi, where there's a huge outcry of pollution, etc., and fireworks have been banned in most of these countries. So for us in South Africa, we need to take a cue from the motherland where Deepavali was essentially introduced and bring it back to our country, and also try to stay away from things that are going to cause harm, because the whole purpose of celebrating Deepavali is to do good and to destroy evil, destroy our lust, greed, values that are not good. So by polluting the environment, by bringing harm towards animals, etc., is not doing any good whatsoever, because there's no scriptural evidence that fireworks was there. So Deepavali is a row of lamps. So lighting lamps in front of one's home to indicate that you are celebrating Deepavali as a Hindu is much more important, because that is what bringing light into eliminating darkness and bringing light into one's life. So I would really support the call for fireworks to be banned in many instances, because of the pollution and also the harm that it creates to animals. If it can be done in India, if it's being banned in India, why not South Africa?
Doctor, the NDP, which is a national blueprint for our country, sets 2030 as a deadline when we hope that South Africans, all of us, will be more conscious of the things we have in common than our differences. Are we making progress in that regard when it comes to understanding each other better and being more accepting of each other? And how can we use days like Deepavali to really enhance social cohesion and nation building going forward?
As a country which is so diverse, it is important for us to share our knowledge, our living heritage, etc. And Deepavali would be an ideal opportunity for the Indian community of South Africans of Indian origin to invite people of other race groups to come to their homes and share in the food, the cuisine, and all the other symbolic elements that are associated with Deepavali. By doing this, we are embracing and we are sharing our knowledge and so on. And like we have these big major festivals, we need to extend the invitation beyond the people of Indian origin and allow all cultures to come together and share in the festivities, in the food, etc. Then we are moving towards a socially cohesive society. We should take advantage of the fact that we have a very unique culture and share it with other cultural groups. And yes, the 2030 agenda is very, very important, but we are still far from finding social cohesion. Social cohesion is the end product of a journey, and the journey is celebrations like Deepavali, etc. Like I said, in a festival that I attended in Melbourne, Australia, over 20,000 people attended, and it was of all race groups, and everybody participated in all the festivities that took place there. And I think that is what we need to do. We need to take our sweetmeats that we make to work and share it with our work colleagues and explain the significance. In schools, our schools are changing its complexion, our schools are changing the curriculum. We need to use an opportunity during life orientation, etc., to teach children of other race groups what the significance of different festivals and so on. If we do that, then people will be able to understand better, and then we'll be able to embrace each other in a better way, and that is how we will be moving towards the 2030 agenda, where we will be moving towards a socially cohesive society. Right now, we have many, many challenges where people are still working in silos and compartments. We need to now dialogue, we need to sit together, we need to share our rituals, our practices, etc. For example, a typical Hindu person celebrating Deepavali will wake up in the morning, they will have a spiritual bath, a very symbolic, ritualistic bath with 3 kinds of oil. In other words, removing all the lust, the ego, and all the negative qualities, and introducing all positive things in them. And after that, they will be partaking in a prayer at home, and thereafter they will be taking parcels of sweetmeats and other savories that the family have baked and share it with neighbors and friends, etc. So by doing this and explaining this whole process to our other colleagues at work and at schools, people become more educated about all cultures in South Africa, and we should use these opportunities very, very, very fruitfully so that we can strive towards a socially cohesive society.
Dr. Rajendran Govender, thank you so much for
questions.
your time on the SABC News Desk. I'm afraid we'll have to leave it there. Wishing you a blessed Deepavali from the SABC News team.